Greetings, family. This is Dr. Kia Pruitt. It is Saturday evening, December the 10th, 2022, and the time is 7:35 p.m. Welcome back. I hope you all are having a wonderful, restful evening. So, we do have some good news, some exciting news, and some things for us to consider and ponder as we wrap up the year of 2022 and plan for the amazing 2023. So, what's going on in the news that made me want to come back tonight, break my rest, and report to you all today? Well, I'm glad you asked. First order of business is that Xi, the president of China, met with Saudi Arabia 2 days ago on December the 8th. Now, this is a very critical announcement because what we can deduce, or surmise is that Xi was probably discussing using other currencies other than the United States dollar to trade for oil. Now, we can surmise this because many countries have discussed applying to BRICS or have already applied to join the BRICS Union, leaving United States hegemony and fleeing the United States dollar, going towards other commodities, namely gold. So again, family, this announcement is something critical that we need to keep in mind as we plan because Saudi Arabia has been in the news a lot lately. And Saudi Arabia is at the center of many of these discussions because what made the United States dollar the world reserve currency was our agreement, right, with Saudi Arabia that we would use our dollar to trade for your oil and protect your nation and force other nations to use the United States dollar to trade for your oil. So again, that is something that a lot of people don't know is what made the United States the world reserve currency. We learned that from Andy Schectman, who's the president of Miles Franklin Precious Metals Company. And he would know this because he's been doing business with many wholesalers, many countries, actually, as he studied the market, the global market in terms of gold, silver, and other precious metals. So you all know that I am an affiliate with Miles Franklin, a company that's been in business for 33 years with an A plus business A plus rating with the Better Business Bureau and not one complaint. But the reason I brought up, and he's the one that's been helping us to understand and understand what made the United States dollar the world reserve currency. So when Saudi Arabia left the United States dollar, essentially that broke our agreement. That broke not only that agreement, but that created the break in terms of United States dollar being the world reserve currency. So as you all recall here, the BRICS Union or BRICS nations left the United States dollar and decided that they would go to a basket of currencies backed by gold months ago. Who are the BRICS nations? What is the BRICS Union? That is the union made up of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. When that union, which was actually led by Russia leaving the United States dollar, when they broke away, other nations then got the courage and the strength and the mind, maybe even the military power to then do the same thing. So Russia was probably, Russia was the first country to leave because 46 had put a sanction on Russia when Russia went over to that other country that we'll just call the ukulele to get them back under their power because they were a part of Russia at one time, or not maybe Russia, but a part of their union. And so not only did they want to bring them back under their care or under their protection, but you all may recall that there was a lot of corruption, different things going on over there in the ukulele that was that involved children, involved money, and involved a lot of drugs and illegal illicit activity. So when Russia made a decision to go over there, 46 put a sanction on Russia. Russia just clapped back and said, that's okay. You can sanction us all we want. We'll just use the United States, leave the United States dollar, leave United States hegemony, and go to the gold standard and other commodities. So Russia, then being a part of the BRICS nation, led the BRICS Union doing the same thing. Right after that, Saudi Arabia applied to become a part of the BRICS Union, then making the BRICS Union called BRICS. So once it became Saudi Arabia then encourage other nations to do the same. Because you see, when you see a whole group of nations, like 40% of the world population, which is what BRICS is, when you see that many people actually having a strength, presence of mind, and courage to leave the United States, to flee United States hegemony, to drop the dollar and go to the gold standard, then other countries will do the same. This is all in alignment with what we have been reporting for years, that 209 countries made an agreement behind the scenes to go to the gold standard. So that is all that we see happening. And we know that now to be called Project Sandman. So let's get back to this meeting between Xi and Saudi Arabia. They hadn't met in years. So the article goes on to say that the Saudi prince, the Saudi president, welcomed Xi in open arms. It was a warm welcome. They had a wonderful meeting. And although they didn't go into detail what that meeting was about, we can use our deductive reasoning to come to the conclusion that it had to do with how they would trade. Now, if indeed China has an agreement with Saudi Arabia to use gold or any other currency other than the United States dollar, it's over. It is a wrap for the USD. But we've already known this. This is just something coming to the forefront or being formally announced or officially announced to wake up the masses. So not only had Saudi Arabia already left the United States dollar to use gold and other commodities, but other countries had done the same. And I've been making this announcement for months. However, we didn't see it actually printed until recently when we announced not long ago that the Russian foreign minister made an announcement that BRICS would now be called BRICS Plus. So what the Russian foreign minister said, and it's interesting that the Russian foreign minister made this announcement, but it makes sense considering Russia was the first to leave the USD and Russia led BRICS to leave the USD. It made sense for the Russian foreign minister to make this announcement, but he said a dozen nations now are a part of the BRICS union. So of course we know Saudi Arabia, then it was Argentina, Algeria, Iran, the UAE, Nicaragua, Turkey, Indonesia, Senegal, Afghanistan, Egypt, Kyrgyzstan. So that makes up the 12. And after they made that announcement, then another article came out to say, okay, we're the BRICS union or the BRICS plus nations are now targeting some other countries, and we're encouraging them or we're inviting them to apply to the BRICS union. Of course, by the time they let you know that they're going to do this or they're doing this, trust me, it's already done. Project Sandman was written and created a long time ago. And before they even came up with a name for it, we've been reporting this since 2017. We already knew it was happening. But let's go ahead. We'll play along with them like we didn't know this. Let me tell you rather, let me reiterate for you what those targeted nations are, or those nations that are now being invited to join the BRICS Union or BRICS Plus: Costa Rica, El Salvador, Honduras, Guatemala, Panama, Bolivia, Venezuela, Azerbaijan. Is it Azerbaijan? I think that's what it's called. Mongolia, Pakistan, Uzbekistan, and Vietnam. That makes up a conglomerate of about 85 to 90% of the world population. Some people are saying this is the West against the rest because now everybody is leaving the West, or the East versus the West. Everybody is leaving the West, fleeing the USD and saying, we're going to create our own union and we're going to use other commodities, namely gold. I don't know why they keep saying other commodities. We already know it's gold. We know this because Zimbabwe a long time ago made an agreement with China to actually have China to help them mine their gold that's under the ground. And that announcement came out in 2018, then again in 2019, then again in 21, and then most recently. But a lot of people had never seen that article. Your girl has the article. I still have the article from 2018. They used the same article in 2019, 2020, and 2022 and made the same announcement using the same article, but most people did not know about that announcement. So, family, not only Zimbabwe and Saudi Arabia and these countries that I just named, but Ghana most recently made an announcement that they are now trading gold for oil. Can you see what's going on? So much is going on that we need to wake up. So while people are talking about what's going on with Brittany Grenier, I think her name is, what Ye said and what this person said and what's going on in the media, they're saying, look over there. So you don't pay attention to what's going on over here, that the United States dollar is losing its value. Because since 1900, the USD has lost 90% of its purchasing power. And it's probably more like 95% of its purchasing power. So when the United States dollar decreases in value, gold increases in value. And when we say gold, we also mean silver, because silver and gold, they're considered brothers and sisters. But speaking of silver, pay attention to what the Silver Institute just recently announced. What the Silver Institute said is that the global demand for silver is expected to rise 16% this year alone to 1.21 billion ounces, creating the biggest deficit in demand, the biggest deficit in silver in decades. Now, according to the Silver Institute, we should expect something huge to happen by the end of this year, going into 2023, because again, the demand for silver has increased 16% this year, creating the hugest deficit in decades. Family, get you some gold and silver while you can, because the 17th letter, you follow them, said that we have the gold and gold will end the Fed. Now, in case you all didn't know this was breaking news that came out on the other day, that socialist Peruvian president Pedro Castillo was removed from office. He was taken out of office or dismissed because he tried to dissolve Congress over there to avoid impeachment. But he was not only dismissed and removed, he was taken into custody. This is important because, as many of you know, Peru is the second or the third largest producer of silver. What's going on? Okay, their president being removed, or their leader being removed, is actually in alignment with GESARA, because in order for GESARA and NESARA to be officially announced and to take effect, all of the deep state actors and leaders had to be removed. So for us, knowing what's going on, this is very, very exciting. So this is why some of your leaders have been removed in many countries like South and Central America. This is why the Queen of England had to be officially removed. This is why leaders all over the world had to be removed. This is why there was an announcement that hey, where is King Philip anyway? Remember, there was an announcement that he has some serious heart issues. Where is he? Are they really preparing for his funeral as we had heard? I don't know. But speaking about GESARA, NESARA, gold, and silver, family, I don't know if you all have ever heard of Bill Holter, but when you're in this space and you love precious metals as I do, and you follow Andy Sheckman, you follow Arcadia Economics, Chris Marcus, you follow David Morgan, the silver guru, you listen to Bix Weir of The Road to Ruta, and you listen to David Mahoney, who talks about the difference between currencies and money, because money is gold and silver, or God's money. Money is completely different from currency and fiat dollars. So when you listen to people like this, you have a tendency to take note when they speak. So Bill Holter actually spent 23 years, I believe, in the stock market, and he comes on several podcasts and he gives his opinion, not just his opinion, but his educated opinion, his educated, informed information. And what Bill Holter said was based on what the United States claims to have in gold. Gold will likely go to $125,000 per ounce. So he said, if we look at how much they say that they have in gold, which by the way, gold hasn't been audited since 1956, so we can only surmise what they have. It will take about it would take gold to valuate at $125,000 per ounce in order to pay off the debt. However, now listen to what he says closely. He said that's just to pay the debts that's on the books. Gold is going to have to be about $125,000 per ounce. These people who study and look at gold and silver, economists who do this, I think there's Keynesian economists, not the Keynesians, but the Austrian economists, they will tell you there's actually some type of formula that they use to determine how gold will have to be evaluated. They'll just come up with these numbers off the cuff. But again, based on what the United States says we have in gold, again, gold hasn't been audited since 1956. It would take gold being evaluated at $125,000 per ounce in order to pay the debts on the books. However, he says, when you look at all of the debts like Social Security, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and all the other debts, then you are actually looking at gold at being $800,000 per ounce. Now, I'm not saying gold is going to be $800,000 per ounce, but I'm just saying, based on the amount of gold that we say that we have, and again, gold hasn't been audited since 1956, in order to pay off all the debts, gold would have to be evaluated at $800,000 per ounce. Now, if you caught my interview with Andy Schectman that I did a couple of days ago, and I will put that interview in the description section. You all really need to look at that. I asked Andy, is gold going to be revalued? And he said, most certainly gold would have to be revalued. And he goes into details how we know gold would be revalued and what the implications of that are. So family, I just wanted to bring that information to you today. It's imperative that you have this information. It's imperative as you plan for not only yourself, but your family and your posterity. If you are considering having gold and silver in your portfolio or adding it to your portfolio, then please either go to your local gold and silver company and get some, or hey, why not call Andy or email Andy Schectman, the CEO of Miles Franklin, the most trusted, most respected company in this space. I mean, over 33 years, not one complaint with the Better Business Bureau, excellent customer service, and having all these relationships with wholesalers. So when you have a relationship with wholesalers over decades, then you can get product that many other dealers cannot get. So this is very important. When you talk about gold being revalued to at least 125, I say 125,000. What did I say? Yeah, $125,000 per ounce. That's so imperative because you have Ray Dalio and some very other noted experts saying that gold will increase to at least $2,000 per ounce by the end of this year and going into next year at $10,000 per ounce by next year or over the course of the next few years. So many experts that I have been following have been saying gold will be revalued between $10,000 per ounce and $100,000 per ounce in order to pay off all the debts, not all the debts on the books and all the debts, period, that we have as a country. So that's my spiel for gold and silver. But what you need to do is email Andy at info@milesfranklin.com or Andy@milesfranklin.com and ask them for a list of their inventory and prices and ask any questions that you might have. Your order. And please, family, let them know that Dr. Kia Pruitt referred you, because yes, it helps me, but it also guarantees that you get the best prices in the industry because Andy Schectman, the CEO of Miles Franklin, guaranteed that. Do you know how huge that is for a president of a multi-billion-dollar company to say that they will give us the best prices in the entire industry? Family, we are totally fortunate and blessed. So email Andy info at milesfranklin.com and let them know that Dr. Kia Pruitt sent you. Now, that is just a little bit of the news. I don't know if you all knew this, but Bank of America sell off any rally in stocks that you have. So any rally in stock that you had, sell it off, is what the Bank of America says, as they look into what's going to happen in 2023. They say amid recession fears that we're supposed to go into in 2023, as if we're not even already in the middle of a recession. I say we're in the middle of a depression. But Bank of America, they are not the only ones that said sell off any rally in stocks. There was another article that came out that said sell off stocks. It says recession fears paralyzes what it says. Something, I'm sorry. Basically, what it says is that the recession fear paralyzes the stock market, and that we can surmise that the stock market will head into a miserable crash because a recession is looming. By the time, again, they announce a recession or a depression, we're already there. So prepare. How do you prepare? They're telling you, Bank of America and other sources are saying sell off your stocks. I'm not going to tell you that. I'm going to tell you that when the dollar declines in value, everything that's attached to the dollar may very well decline, like stocks, like your retirement accounts, like your 401ks, and people may begin to make bank runs. We already reported the other day that a lot of banks are reporting that they are in trouble. And when a bank is in trouble, a bank either does a bailout or a bail-in. A bailout is when the government comes forward and said, we can't allow you all to fail. We can't allow the banks to crash because banks are too big to fail, which is what they did in 2008, and they rescued the banks. But that's different from a bail-in because, first of all, the United States Incorporated is defunct and bankrupt, so they don't have any money to bail out the banks. So what will likely happen if things don't get better is that there will be a bail-in, and that means the banks can use your money and your resources that you have within them, because once you turn it over, it becomes their possession. They can use that money to get themselves out of trouble and to pay off their debts or do whatever they want to do. So again, I asked Andy about that when I interviewed him this past Tuesday, and asked him, is that possible? And he said, not only is it possible, but legislation was passed. It's actually law that they can do bail-ins and use your money and my money to get themselves out of trouble. How can you operate outside of the banks, family? The way you operate outside of the system and outside of the central banks is by using silver and gold, is by having your money or your wealth outside of their system. So if you desire to empower yourself, which I know you do, then family, take it upon yourself to be proactive and do what the rich people are doing. Do what the banks are doing. Central banks bought up, 400 million ounces of gold just last quarter alone. Last quarter was July, August, September, and October. Last quarter alone, they bought record amounts of gold, 400 million tons. Not only that, but there were whales and family offices and other entities that bought up a whole lot of gold, or hundreds of tons of gold, that wasn't reported or made public. So we don't know who those people were or exactly how much, but we know that it was a whole lot. Follow the money. Follow what the big people are doing. Follow what the rich people are doing. Follow what the central banks are doing. Follow what these countries are doing. Now, speaking of countries, it's interesting that neither of these articles that I talked about in this broadcast mentioned Iraq, but I know from my sources that Iraq also left the United States dollar. And Iraq, even though it's not official that they joined BRICS, we know that there's something going on with them because the Iraqi prime minister or the Iraqi president or leader made an announcement. I believe it was last month. And that announcement was that he was going to revalue the Iraqi dinar, his currency, against the USD. He said, I'm going to work with the central banks of Iraq to revalue the Iraqi dinar against the United States dollar. I'm going to work with other countries to bring back my stolen money, and I'm going to fight endemic corruption going on in my country. And I am going to consider the poor and needy in my country. So my friends and my families, my darling, my soul family, sisters and brothers, look at what the nations are doing. They're bringing back their stolen money. They're revaluing their currencies against the USD. They're leaving United States dollar. They're fleeing United States hegemony, and they're returning to gold, because gold is a hedge against inflation. Gold and silver, they are wealth. They're an excellent store. They maintain an excellent store of wealth. They maintain their value, and they increase in value. And as you all know, gold and silver, my darlings, is God's money. And gold, not only is it God's money, but gold actually will create a stable economic situation. It will make us all have nice buying power. Our money and our buying power will increase. What else? Each currency will be revalued. Each country's currency will be revalued based on gold and silver and all the resources that the countries have. And gold will enable all of the world's currencies and monies to actually be 1-to-1. So get you some silver and gold. If you're so inclined, invest in exotic currencies, which people just call foreign currencies, like the Iraqi dinar, because when they revalue, they will revalue based on the resources of that country. So we can see what's going on, that the United States dollar is losing its value, which means that inflation is going to increase. It means also not only is it losing its value, but with all these countries leaving the United States dollar, that all those dollars will flood back into our country, making it relatively worthless. What will that mean for us? High inflation, we do know. Maybe it'll be like Venezuela. Maybe it'll be like Zimbabwe, where you're taking trunk loads of this worthless paper just to buy a loaf of bread. I don't know if it'll get that bad before we see it get better, before everybody is formally announces that they're on a gold standard. But why even put yourself in that position when you can right now learn how to barter, learn how to plant seeds, learn who the people are in your community who have gardens or who have farms, learn who knows how to make clothes, who knows how to do hair, who knows how to educate, who knows how to cure certain ailments, learn who knows how to make shoes, learn about all this that's going on. Where are the wells? How can we dig up water? How can we make sure that our families thrive, our communities thrive, our nation thrive, because we're all in this together, family. We've all been enslaved together, and by golly, we are all going to be liberated together, because you're going to make sure of it, and I'm going to make sure of it. So that's the news for this evening, family. I love you all so much. I want to thank each and every one of you for your prayers, your kind words that you send me every day on the broadcast. I thank you all for sending me Cash App blessings and PayPal blessings and super stickers and super chats and just phone calls, all the wonderful things that you've done for me. I thank you so much from the bottom of my soul, family. It's really a blessing, and it's really just a great pleasure to be a part of your soul family. And I want to tell you that your blessings really came on time, because YouTube had banned me for 2 weeks. And with that banning of 2 weeks, I could not upload. I wasn't able even to comment sometimes, and I wasn't able to broadcast, go live, or anything. And so that meant for 2 weeks, I couldn't make money because I couldn't produce videos. So what you did really, truly blessed me and helped me, and it just showed me love. So thank you so much, family. Hopefully We all use our gifts to help each other, and we all share the resources that the Creator has given us. So, my name is Dr. Kia Pruitt. I hope I've said something to raise your vibrations, to encourage you and inspire you to live and manifest the most amazing, most magnificent, joyous, prosperous, productive, and abundant life that you desire and deserve. Mwah. Goodbye. Good night, family. Make this a great evening. Peace.